you recording, Canton?
Yeah.
Right. I'm recording as well.
Same.
We good to go?
I've been recording this whole time.
Oh, really?
That's fine. No worries.
So if you, well, you'll probably only be able to hear my voice, but I mean, if you have the previous stuff, then you got that too.
That's fine. We've got this whole cold open intro. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Cue the intro song. And then it's intro song.
Insert intro here. Yeah.
And I'm going to edit this part out. Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of definitely everyone's favorite podcast, the Critical Arcade Podcast. I'm your co-host, Nick.
And I'm Dave.
Hello, Dave.
Hello, Nick. Are you well?
Yes. Today I'm extremely well. You know why. You know why,
Why?
Dave.
Why? Tell me.
You know why. I just told you.
Well, tell everyone else then.
Okay, everyone else. It's because we've got a guest in the definitely studio and not virtually recording place.
What an intro. Yeah.
Everyone, please give a hand, or don't, because you might be sitting in the bus, to our second guest of the show, Canton Parker.
What's up? How you guys doing? I like that intro. I was wondering, I was like, okay, where's this going? But it's great, actually.
We keep you on your feet all the time. Don't get me wrong. You're going to think that a lot in regards to the podcast.
100%. I was like,
where
do
are
I
we
jump
going
in now?
with this?
Do I jump in
Yeah,
now?
yeah, exactly. Right?
And every single episode, we're also wondering, what the hell's going on? Where's this going?
That's right. Oh, that's how I go through life fundamentally.
Oh,
like,
no.
Where am I? What's going on? Who's this? Yeah, it makes life exciting, but yeah, that's fundamentally
Exciting, sure.
Yeah, that's my IRL, right?
I love that. It reminds me of like, who is Gamora? Why is Gamora?
Yeah, that's
like
right.
one of
That's right.
those.
That's right.
It's like, what is life? Why is life?
Kenton, thank you for joining us for this episode. We are so grateful to have you here. It is so fantastic. We've had a couple of guests on the show, but thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
Man. Thanks so much for having me.
We're very much humbled with your joining us for today's podcast.
Yeah, I think it's going to be sick. I like seeing what Critical Arcade's getting up to and all the things that they're doing, blazing a trail, setting a standard, and yeah, having fun in between.
Yeah,
It's
and I
quite
hear
cool
that
to be part of it.
I hear the hosts are quite handsome as well.
I hear one
Yeah.
of them is, but nobody knows who yet. So
Okay,
it's one of the
sounds-
reveals on Instagram at some point.
That sounds like it could start a knife fight, which I may or may not pay to watch.
There you go. There's an avenue we haven't thought of, like a pay-to-view knife fight
Yes.
between co-hosts. I like it.
For anyone that would like to see a pay-to-view knife fight, please join our Patreon.
Yeah, that's right.
Patreon.com/Critical Arcade. But before we get into all that, how about let's start with this week's game, which, Canton, you chose for us.
Yeah.
How would you enlighten us? What did you pick?
My selection is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Why? Because why not, actually?
Of course.
Assassin's Creed is a... It's like, it was like, why? Okay, tell us why. No, why not? That's my answer. Oh, wow, what a... anticlimax, but that's
Right,
cool.
yeah. But, okay, my
Yeah,
first question would be why that one from all, there's
Yeah, there are
multitude
tons.
Assassin's Creeds. Why Valhalla above all else?
Well, what I would probably answer as a blanket approach is probably that it's the most recent, apart from obviously the upcoming Assassin's Creed Mirage. But yeah, it's one of those. I've played Assassin's Creed since the very, very, very first title in 2007 on PlayStation 3. Not knowing anything about the game. My dad went on a business trip at the time, and he came back from Hong Kong, and he was like, "Hey, I got you this PlayStation 3. Yeah, you have a PlayStation 2. I think this is the new one." And I'm like, "Dad, you pulling on my heart. You pulling on my heartstrings here right now." And
that's stressful. Right?
One of the games, exactly, yeah. And one of the games that he brought back with him, I think it was 3 games that he brought back. I think one was a shooter. I can't remember what the other one was, but one was definitely Assassin's Creed, and the whole box had Chinese on the back, and it was one of those where you knew like, okay, this didn't come from South Africa. Yeah, 100%. And I think my dad just saw it and he was like, oh, this dude's wearing like a hood and he's got like a sword. Now my dad, when I was growing up, my dad always used to see me like swords and like Dungeons and Dragons and the whole like Lord of the Rings franchise. So I think when he saw the cover, you know what? Definitely not Star Wars. There's no floating fluorescent light tubes. As great as Star Wars is, though.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So I think when my dad saw the cover, he was just like, "Hey, listen, this looks like it's your kind of vibe. I don't know what it's about. You know, bless my dad's soul. Every great parent's like, hey, this game says 18 on the cover, but hang on, you're 13. It should be fine. Just play
He's mature enough, right? So, he's mature. It'll be fine."
Exactly. And then jumping straight into the very first Assassin's Creed, I was like, wow, okay, this is sick. From graphics to character development to the storyline to just I think Assassin's Creed at the time, the first game, it wasn't so much open world, but it was open world ish, and that was one of the first games that I got to experience with that.
The first one was a really good time. I remember playing the first one as well. I was hooked through that entire game with Altair.
Yeah,
definitely a good time.
Nick remembers everybody's name in every game, by the way. Like, he'll say Altair and Okuzulier. I'm like, what?
That's not even his full name. You want to know? You want to know? It's Altair ibn La'ahad. That's his full name.
Yeah.
I know,
dude,
right?
That's like 10 points to Gryffindor right there.
Yeah, exactly right. But I remember the first one, its big thing was the climbing mechanic, right? It was the first game to introduce the weird grapple
whole parkour type.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that being huge at the time.
Yeah, it was sick. It was definitely not anything I'd experienced before. So it was something when you played, you're like, whoa, I can like run up a wall and climb a building and miraculously just somehow not fall off. Like, I mean, that was like one of those games you're playing, you're like, okay, like I'm not falling off a building, but I'm like 30 meters in the air. Like, that's cool, whatever. Yeah. It is what it is.
Even if you think about it, he's got one less finger. He's got more of a probability to fall off than we do, but he doesn't.
Yes.
Well, balance-wise, that one finger just puts him over the edge.
And I always understood... Yeah, and I always understood the what's the hidden blade on his wrist slash like forearm. Like always when he like not flexed, but he tensed or he did something, and the blade came out. And
that's right.
Oh, it's obviously like this little thing where the device is sensitive to like your muscle movements, so the blade just like pops out.
Yeah,
I thought, okay, that's actually that's quite cool. Until I realized when you're climbing, clearly your arms are tensing. So how is this knife not popping out at the worst of times?
Don't think about it.
But
don't think about it.
No, he's
exactly.
Holes
but I
whole,
think to answer your first question, so why Assassin's Creed Valhalla? I think because loving the franchise at such a young age and for so many years, looking at the whole culmination to where they got to, the point that they got to in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it had a mix of a little bit of classic Assassin's Creed, but this whole new direction with this mythology, obviously from having Odyssey and Origins before.
Yeah.
But yeah, just something also from the Viking era, 9th century England. It's like, this is cool, actually. Like, there was just a lot of elements and a lot of aspects about it that I really, really enjoyed, and still to this day enjoy, actually.
I totally agree. The Norse mythology definitely took the spotlight in recent pop culture with things like the new God of War games and the direction the Thor movies have been heading in. I think Norse mythology really stole the spotlight from Greek mythology, who's been just
100%
on top of everyone else for what could be millennia.
Yeah.
And I think Assassin's Creed Valhalla is riding that wave of popularity, which I think let's jump into narrative since it's a nice segue. Huh? Segue, guys.
Yeah. Segue. I must say, as a slight detour, this is like such a slight detour in the podcast. But don't you always feel, or at least in my pod, Australians just sound like they're always asking a question.
Well, that's very true. They always end.
It's like, hello, guys.
Yeah, at
I'm going to the shops.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they always
there's
end.
almost like
Yeah, that's right.
like they're a little bit confused as to whether confused and concerned as to whether or not they are confident in what they're saying. So it's hello, guys.
Right, that's right.
I'm going to the shops. I'm going to go get some milk. Like everything has a question mark at the end of it.
No,
And it's
it's very.
like, are you going to the? Are you telling me? Or are you asking me?
No, it's very true.
My name's Mark. I'm swimming with a shark.
It's
Trees
like-
have bark.
It's like they're always lost.
That's hilarious.
Here or there.
So
Where?
Yeah.
No, I agree. No, there's a very weird.
So
way
that's
of always sounding confused. A weird.
a random amount of.
I love it. We love
14
tangents.
random
That's
Please
fine. Yeah,
don't
tangents are
sense.
good. Yeah, no doubt.
Jeff got kicked by a kangaroo.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
like, are you telling us or are you asking us?
Speaking of segues, I can't think of a better segue than Australian accents into the narrative for
The
Assassin's Creed
narrative.
Valhalla.
Let's do it.
Before we start, quick disclaimer. I did not finish the story. I'm sorry.
Judith.
I'm sorry.
I
I think
know,
between
right?
the three of us, I'm the only one who hasn't finished the story.
Yeah, again, Nick did
Oh,
this
man,
thing
you-
that I've
You
always
got
had
to.
a problem with. He had kids, which, like,
Yeah.
he's never
That's our
going to
own
complete a
storyline
game.
in itself.
Right? Yeah. Like, how is he going to complete a computer game now that he's raising two young men himself? Like,
Like,
where's his
you're
priorities
in
at?
your. Exactly. You're in your own Assassin's Creed. You're in
That's true.
Assassin's Creed diapers and you're assassinating
Yeah.
toddler stuff.
You say that, but I have found or seen one of his kids climbing the walls, like in the corner, like he's about to do a hay bale dive off the top of the cabinets. A number
Hold
of
on.
times.
is your son's name Altair?
Yeah, that's
What
that's
a
why he remembers the
coincidence.
name so well.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
no.
the first one's Altair ibn Lahad. The second one is Ezio Auditore da Firenze. and
There we
He's
go.
flexing now. He's just flexing. Just
and
like,
let's just settle this dispute. Don't lie. Ezio's your favorite child.
Ezio.
Ezio was my favorite character.
Not
so
even
yeah,
gonna
Ezio's
lie,
be a favorite.
100%.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
something
I
to do.
love Altair. Altair, we take him to school, we feed him, it's great.
That's right.
But man, I'm only gonna go watch Ezio's football games.
Yeah, me and Ezio, tightest.
Tight. But yes, narrative.
Narrative. Yeah, but anyway, that was another really long tangent. But I like it. Anyway. Narratively, it's a weird one to gauge because there's multiple of them. If you go into it. Now, Nick probably doesn't know this because he's raising kids.
Well, what I before
Go on,
I
sorry,
finished,
Nick. Go on,
I didn't
sorry,
finish the story, but I did read a synopsis of the entire plot, so I know
Nice.
kind of what's going on.
You did your homework,
Yes.
Okay.
and that's important.
What I would say is the main branching narrative is the brothers' story, right? Between Sigurd and
What's his name?
Eivor, Sigurd, I don't know.
Sigurd.
Sigrid and Eivor.
Yes.
The plot of taking over England, fundamentally, my hometown.
That good old classic Scandinavian. Let's sail west into an unknown land and see what it has for us. And it's not as freaking freezing as Norway, so this must be great. Yeah, so yeah, it's quite cool actually.
No, the story I liked. Like I said, it's one of those things which a lot of people argue that Assassin's Creed has lost the original narrative. You're just an assassin.
Yes.
You're just hunting down these
Yeah.
either political figures or
Yes.
power hungry bosses and stuff like that.
A
And
lot
now
of
this
people
is-
would argue that, Dave.
and now this is branched into, especially the last three, like you were saying, Odyssey, Origin, and Valhalla.
Yeah.
It's a proper developing storyline from character to hero, and in Valhalla to some degree, descendant of the gods. Which
Yeah.
story is really, really quite intriguing, but I can understand people getting a bit out their noses bent in the fact that it's not all about being the into the animus and retracking the steps of just an assassin, and it has.
Yeah, exactly.
Has it lost its way a bit? I don't really know.
Yes, I do. It has.
There we go.
That was like so confident. Like, I know this. You're wrong. I'm
That's
right.
right.
It is
me,
what
miss.
it is.
Me, miss. I got the answer. No, it's like now. I've played I'd suggest mostly Assassin's Creed. I know there was some on the PSP or the Vita or whatever.
Yeah,
these,
yeah.
and all
Yeah,
the
like
mobile
Assassin's Creed
guys.
Liberty and all
Yeah,
of
that's
that.
right.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And they've been around for many years. Like I said, you were saying 2007, so it's what 15,
15, 16, around there.
16 years. And tell me this, maybe I don't. Are they still following the same plot? I still remember collecting a golden apple and like a scepter, and there were some random dreams, and there was like you got at the animus, and you had the
there
skills.
were dreams,
the
and then there was tequila, and somehow my pants were off, and I don't know where I was.
I swear, I was.
No,
like,
it doesn't. No, because you were following the story of Desmond Miles. Remember?
that's
Desmond
right.
Miles?
That's right. I remember Desmond. That's right.
He was
that's
voiced,
right.
I think it was Troy Baker who voiced Desmond Miles.
Yeah,
He
he's
died
doing
in the third game. Spoilers.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed
Spoilers,
3.
yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Damn.
He died in the third game, and they just kept going on with different characters. It almost feels... It does feel like they did lose the plot, but they just kept going because Ubisoft loves money.
Yeah.
Well, who doesn't, fundamentally? It's one of those... It's one thing that when playing this game and narratively, they're always... Slight. I actually thought the story in this was really good.
Same.
I thought the taking over England, even though it's a nasty point, me being a British person, because they took over
You're
a lot of
invading
England.
my land.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I'm throwing the shade down now, but I thought the story between the brothers was good. I thought a lot of the overarching stories were a bit meh. Like I say, because I know Canton, you love the whole Norse side. Did you like the whole Asgardian part, where they went to Asgard in the dreams and the mists and stuff?
So, I think before I jump on the Asgard thing, you made a point now which I thought was actually quite interesting. You said, have they lost the plot with the narrative? Like, not lost the plot. That sounds like they're like losing their minds. But have they steered off from the original story? Now, this is a twofold answer. Not for any other reason, but it's either really, really, really genius and has a ton of longevity to it, or someone just maybe had way too much to drink one night and was like, "Oh man, I accidentally changed the script." Like it's one of those. I don't know which one it is.
I prefer the second one. I like the idea he came in with a hangover and went, "What? Sorry."
But this is the thing. So Assassin's Creed, like the first Assassin's Creed, cool. Desmond Miles, you're in the Middle East, got you. Boom. Okay. Then another ancestor of Desmond Miles, but in Italy at the time, cool, Ezio. Then you have Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed Revelations. Cool, there's your first trilogy of the Assassin's Creed series. Follows this Ezio character from a teenager / young adult to like a middle-aged guy to a dude who's old, and then he actually ends up finding Altair sitting in his chair, having like being a skeleton. It's like
he's still holding the apple, right?
He's still holding it, exactly.
Yes.
So now you're threading that, and then you immediately segue into Assassin's Creed 3, and you're like, wow, okay, this is like it's the I think it was the American Civil War. No, it wasn't the Civil War. It was in America.
It was.
That.
Yeah,
it was
pretty sure it was.
It was with the British and the Americans, I think.
Oh.
So now you got like this Native American feel, and you're like, okay, cool, but it's still Ezio's ancestor.
Yeah,
so you're like, not Ezio, Desmond Miles's ancestor. So you're thinking, okay, this whole Assassin's Creed thing is about Desmond Miles. But then, as you said, Desmond Miles dies at the end of Assassin's Creed 3. So now you're thinking, okay, well, now what? Like, where's this going? So then you immediately think, oh, okay, cool, series done. Then they slap you with Assassin's Creed 4. But then it turns, and then I can like talk for hours and thread all of this together.
I feel I'm getting
But
a
then,
lesson
Go
now.
off. Go off.
You know what I mean? Then like in Assassin's Creed 4, you play as Edward Kenway, but Edward Kenway's father is Connor. If I'm not mistaken, he is the son of the dude in Assassin's Creed 3. So it's like this genealogy starting to take place. You're like, okay, well, hold on. Now this is going very cool. Then it spinned off into Assassin's Creed Rogue, where an assassin becomes a Templar. And then you had your little spin-offs like Assassin's Creed Liberty, and then Assassin's Creed African, I think it was African Cry or Africa Cry, one of the two.
Wasn't it
but then
Liberation?
Was it Liberation?
I can't
It might have
remember.
been actually.
Either way,
It might have
continue.
been. You're right.
Yeah.
And then it carries on, and now all of a sudden there's no more Desmond Miles, but now you're living the story and the life of an assassin in Paris during the French Revolution in Assassin's Creed Unity, and then it's like, okay, where are we going with this? And then I think they realized, I think the whole Ubisoft executive team, they were like, and I don't know if this is where the tequila kicked in, but they were either like, okay, either we completely change the script or we build something really, really good, which is different, but it goes all the way to the beginning. And then hence Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yes.
And then you think, okay, cool, but now we've got mythology, it's Egyptian gods, like it's cool, like it's very, very cool. But now you have something called what was it called? I think the Order or something.
That's right, the ones you have to assassinate, right?
The ones that you have to assassinate, yeah, they got the masks and
That's
everything.
right,
you kind of getting, not being told, but you're getting the impression like, oh, maybe the Templar Order kind of has its roots in this. So you're like, okay, this is a complete origin story. Then they throw you with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is before Assassin's Creed Origins, which is how this whole thing came about. But you don't really know how it came about. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, as great as it was, I still don't know the point of it. Like, it could have just been its own standalone game, and I would have been like, oh, that's great. But you have the Spear of Leonidas, and he was this and he was that, and you're like, okay, I get you, I feel you. I don't know where we're going with this, but I'm along for the ride. And then introduce now Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And what makes Assassin's Creed Valhalla so pivotal is it introduces a character called Basim. And Basim is this dude that you kind of somewhat get taught from, but he's part of this hidden one's order, which is the assassin's order, and you're like, oh, now you start getting thrown back, and he's got the hood, and he's got the red and the white and the crimson, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, this dude is Middle Eastern. Assassin's Creed started in the Middle East, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, mate, where are we going with this? And then eventually, now fast forward 2023, we get an Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is the story of Basim going all the way back to the roots of Assassin's Creed. Now, the reason why I mention all of that is it's either a really, really good marketing tactic or, let's say, development strategy.
Yeah.
Because you've got 15 years of history, but you're going all the way back to the beginning. So it almost is like this adrenaline boost and energy drink to every single Assassin's Creed fan, because you're just when you're kind of getting enough of this whole mythology, different direction, all of a sudden, you're now getting what you want and kind of being thrown back 15 years to experience the whole beauty of what made Assassin's Creed. So, with all that to say, do I like the narrative?
Right, yeah.
Oh, we're still there.
I'd love you to
We're
say
landing
no.
this plane. Landing this plane.
You just end it, no, I don't. But go on. You write the narrative.
No. What are we talking about?
That's lame.
So when it comes to the narrative of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, what I particularly like the most is the fact that they found a opportunity through a character that brings us back to what made everyone fall in love with Assassin's Creed. And I think that specifically is what I like about it.
So you think they've got a whole end game thing planned, with the marble thing?
Well,
everything's going to tie up together in an inevitable Assassin's Creed game where you go, whoa.
Yeah, or is it just going to keep going indefinitely?
Well, this is the thing. Did you ever remember Assassin's Creed 4 when it was, I think it was an Animus, but you weren't Desmond Miles, you were just this character, and you had an office within Abstergo.
That's right.
And you walked around. So if you took the time to walk around the office, there was actually a whole bunch of different Assassin's Creed games around the office stuff on people's desks
and stuff, right? Yeah,
you know what I mean? So someone once asked one of the Ubisoft executives, hey, we noticed this. What does that mean? And this executive got up and said, we've got the next 35 Assassin's Creed games lined up.
Jeez,
so when you hear that, you kind of go, oh man, I don't know if I can. I'm probably going to die before this franchise.
That doesn't sound like a good thing to me.
No, it sounds like they're waiting to actually develop the Animus, so that we all actually plug ourselves in for the final chapter of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah,
it's you can play Assassin's Creed, but not through a console. You can actually go live your ancestors' memories.
Yeah, that's their end game finale.
That.
I like that. That would be cool, fundamentally.
So how many, when you say end game, maybe, maybe not. I don't know if there's a whole lot of longevity in 35 games, but what I do know is that if they... I know for a fact there's going to be guaranteed another 5 Assassin's Creeds after Assassin's Creed Mirage. Dare I even say a trilogy for Assassin's Creed that includes Basim, because now Basim's this youngster. Oh, okay, cool. I want to join this order. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm this I'm this like young adult that I want to just explore and like do thievery and this. But then you get roped in, and then again now we're seeing a second version of a Ezio Auditore framework.
I hope
which,
so.
Now, again, you see exactly. Now you're saying I hope so. Which now in that context has taken all the nostalgia of Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood and Revelations, and it's just given it this new oomph, hence the whole energy drink boost that makes everyone go, man, finally, I get to experience Assassin's Creed the way that I was first introduced to it.
I see.
So,
okay. I see.
So it's clever. It's clever,
it's very
but I
clever.
don't know if they intentionally. I don't know if they intentionally did that.
And
If they did,
it
well
is
done.
still one of is it Ubisoft, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's one of their still highest selling IPs to date, even with the new versions running so long. They're still making tons of money out of it.
Well, of course, because we'll get into it in value for money, but even after they sell you this game, they keep on selling you this game.
That's very true.
100%.
Let me segue a little bit back to narrative again. Now, I'm a sucker for these types of things, and I do like it. Everything in Valhalla. I did a bit of research on this. All the characters and the battles that you take place in are historically sound. They're not. There's a little bit of a poetic license in regards to what happens. But the people are Ivar, Halfdan, Uber, Ragnarsson, Gothram, Seawolf of Mercia, all generally real people in history, which they
historical figures. 100%.
yeah, it's go on.
Wow, the real Eivor really did kill 500,000 people by just light attacking everyone?
Like I said, a little bit of poetic license in there, a little bit, but it was
But
really
you're 100%
interesting.
correct.
And even the
That's actually
geography
very cool.
of the place you're at, be it those are legitimate towns of England, granted in 900
BC.
Those are legitimate places. Even to some degree, because I was in England, I was from the Midlands. I actually know some of the places that you get to go to that are still there today.
And
with
you
the
were
same...
there 900 BC.
Yes, I am. That's why I'm such an old person now. No, it's like I said, I got a bit of a bias here because there was a lot of almost my England history that runs through, which I actually
100%.
learned from the. That's what I like about some games recently, especially the Assassin's Creed games, like Odyssey and stuff. They're actually historically kind of correct and geographically pretty spot on, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I like being able to learn things whilst playing. That's just one side of things I really enjoy.
It is impressive that they managed to do this for...
Do you know that... So yeah, carry on.
Yeah, for all the games, really. Origins, they did this. Odyssey, did they get the entirety of Greece?
Odyssey was pretty close with. They used historical
Odyssey
references.
was huge.
Yeah.
They were pretty close with it though. I saw there was a video the other day. A history teacher was using Odyssey on his PlayStation something with the hawk eye view.
That's literally what I was about to say.
Yeah,
So I was like, did you know that a history teacher? But yeah, you beat me to it.
So
Exactly,
cool.
dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I know Origins also. Egypt was pretty spot on. You could actually do a tour of the landmarks and stuff in Origins, which was.
Oh yeah, they introduced that world tour kind of. It's like a little separate thing within the game. Yeah, I remember that.
Which, I love
Assassin's
that
Creed
type of thing.
Origins taught me that the pyramids were actually not so much steps, but they were like kind of flush, and they were limestone white with a gold tip. And if you actually research history, that is actually in historical accounts. So it's almost like, whoa, I didn't know that, but hey, a game taught me that.
That's what I love. I love those
that's pretty
moments
cool.
where you go, whoa. I just learned something from playing games, which throughout history, you're never going to learn anything playing games. And then you get to turn around and say, please, look, whole of Norse mythology, I now know, kinda.
I dig that. Joke's on you, Mrs. Van Buren.
Exactly it.
I do have a massive respect for the Assassin's Creed games when it comes to not only the narrative, but the visuals and the audio as well.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
some of not just the best looking games, but the best sounding games as well. I'm sure we'll get into it, but maybe we can use this as a segue to get into visuals. These games look incredible.
Yeah,
it is.
The team do very well.
Yeah.
One thing I also like that they've done in a lot of the games, which if you watch So if you play Origins, everything's done in a kind of like a yellow-orange scale to it to denote the intensity of the sun and the sand and stuff like that. If you go to Odyssey, because it's set in Greece, it's got a more of a white palette to the scale.
The white shores and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. And then when you play Valhalla, you'll notice that everything is grey and dark scale, because not only is England kind of grey a lot of the time, in that time of England, there was a Great Depression, and it was kind of a horrible place to live. And so allowing that gritty, like, darkness to everything just builds the atmosphere that most of the poor were miserable, most of the rich were very much rich, but could change at any moment. And just that visual, I can't think of the proper word of it, going onto the screens just to denote the emotional aspects of each time I thought was really cool. And and it's raining most of the time in Valhalla, which is also very English.
Which is England.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
exactly
accurate.
right.
That's some attention to detail.
The dev team really they put a lot of intentionality towards the art direction of the game, which I think it's great when you notice, because it helps you appreciate it a whole lot more than just light attack.
Yeah, that's right.
Carry on.
If the game looks nice, it's much easier to get invested.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for good looking games. When I see a game that's poorly designed in visual aesthetics, for some reason it's just a hurdle for me. Like, even if the game's great, I'll just be like, oh guys, this
looks dumb.
This is horrible.
Yeah, we're looking at you, Gollum, and like everything about that game.
My goodness gracious, that game.
Why'd you have to bring up
that? Sounds like a whole nother podcast episode that might need to include.
Sorry, what franchise was that from again?
Yes. No!
What franchise? No! You know, wasn't it? What's that one that people know? Lord of the.
Don't do this.
That long walk to the mountain.
Don't turn me into a Darth Vader too soon.
Oh, okay, sorry. But yeah, anyway, so I digress. But yeah, I agree. We're spoilt with graphics at the moment.
Definitely.
Graphics are so high res and 4K, 8K, and all that. It's glorious sometimes just to sit down and take them in. And Valhalla had those moments too. You know, first time 100%. When you go to Asgard was pretty cool. I like the visuals. Dude, and yet again, the thing they did, they made Asgard all brightly coloured to denote, a haven, a godly area. No, very cool.
It's a divine.
Can I ask? I know I'm the guest on the podcast, but I want to flip a question.
Go on.
Did you guys, when playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, when you had the opportunity to go to Asgard, did you, and just be honest, come on, we're all friends here, so there's no shame, there's no judgment. Did you have a little bit of the Marvel Thor Asgard in your head as an expectation?
Yes, 100%. Please.
100%. I was like, whoa. I felt almost like I was like a bit too pedantic. I was like, Asgard doesn't look like this, and then an inner voice was like, no, shut up. It is creative license.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because now all you do, anybody mentions Asgard, you've just got Thor, Liam Hemsworth, bright shiny bridges.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. I'm granted. All I wanted was it Mimir? I don't know how you say this. I wanted his hammer. Mjolnir. There you go.
The hammer.
Yeah, that's all I want.
So you actually mentioned this now. Sorry, this is going to go in like so many different directions. It's going to be like the best roller coaster critical arcade podcast ever. Everyone said yay. So you know that you can actually get Mjolnir and all of Thor's armor in Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
I heard this. Is it true?
Yeah.
Can you earn it, or is it stuck behind a paywall?
You have to go into Norway, all the way north of the map, like super, 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 super north. Okay. There's mountains, and then there's a random shallow valley. And at the bottom of the valley, the hammer's there.
Oh, really?
It's just there.
Is it a place marker or anything, or is it just randomly on the map?
You literally have to explore it. So,
I didn't know that.
Like, okay, so I'm going to make a confession. So, hi, my name's Canton. I'm a full-on Googler, and I like to know where things are without giving myself the headache of where to find them myself.
Now, let's point this out. You've actually platinumed this game, right?
I have platinumed this game. One of my greatest achievements, alongside my wife, who was my designated Googler during our conquest of platinum trophies.
I just love the idea. It's like, oh, if you go left here, you'll find, I just Googled, there's Thor's hammer down at the bottom of the lake. Go now. And you're like,
exactly. How many are there? I think there's 4 side quests where you do this, you gotta like run through all these tunnels and there's like caves and stuff, and you get to this point and it's like very much like a type like ending. And then when you get there, the thing you collect is Thor's helmet. And you're like, oh, cool, I got Thor's helmet.
Very nice.
Where's the rest of Thor's armor? And then it's like, oh, this place has Thor's boots, and this place has Thor's breastplates. And then you're like, oh, there's a whole Thor outfit. And then only once you collect all of that, then do you go to Norway, because you have and that's another catch. You have to equip all of Thor's armor from the helmet to the breastplate to the I think it's the gauntlets, the legs, the everything. You have to equip all of Thor's armor, and only then can you lift Mjolnir. Why? Because you're worthy. And then the trophy that you get in PlayStation is worthy. And it's like, hey,
Very
I see what you
nice.
guys did there.
Very
So
nice.
nice little small details that the dev team don't
yes.
tell you about, but if you scratch long enough.
Now I've got to ask a strange question, because it just dawned on me. So you're playing Valhalla. Your wife's sitting next to you, giving you all the information. You're going through the story, and then you're prompted to potentially sleep with one of the women or men, depending on who you're playing with. Now, does your wife give you a sideways look like seriously? Or she's like, it's just a game. Go for it. Go mad.
I almost want to make a joke and say, no, she tells me which one to pick. No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
It's like, no, you can't sleep with her. You're sleeping with that other one. What are you doing?
No, exactly. So yeah, I think it's one of those where I think before she can turn and look at me, I turn and look at her, and then like in almost like a very sympathetic face, I'm like, it's just a game.
Yeah. I kill a lot of people. I need a bit of relaxing time. Come on, give Eivor his credit.
I need a bit of a cuddle.
So the awkwardness isn't really. She's okay. So I had to ask. It just dawned on me just now, just thinking about it.
But that's one of the best questions. Love it.
I find it so exceptionally cool that this game runs on the PlayStation 4. I do not understand how, because it looks
that is a bit
really
shocking.
good.
That's true.
So to give you context, so the PlayStation 5 released in November of 2020.
That's right.
And Assassin's Creed Valhalla came out in October 2020. So
I remember that.
October, November, a whole month before. So I obviously having pre-ordered Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I pre-ordered the PS5 edition, but obviously you get the PS4 edition included. So I played only Norway. I only played Norway on my PlayStation 4, and I loved it, and it ran perfectly. The reason being is I was far too excited not to play it, but I didn't want to get too deep into gameplay without having the full experience on next-gen gaming consoles.
Okay, because you knew you would be getting a PS5 in November.
100%.
And then you can just play the rest of the game on that. 60 FPS all the way.
100%, yeah.
It is. I think Ubisoft, they would have been dumb to make this like a current gen only console, because the install base on the PS4 is so big. Is it now more than 100 million PS4s sold?
I
think it is.
The stats came out, I think it was yesterday. PlayStation have officially sold 40 million consoles worldwide.
What, the PS5?
Of the PlayStation 5, yeah. What? Just the PlayStation 5. 40 million consoles. So if you could just, like, you're the mathematician. I'm not too familiar with my longitudes and latitudes, but just picture 40 million people standing in front of you and just going, you get a PlayStation 5, you get a PlayStation 5, you get a PlayStation 5. That's pretty much what happened. They paid for it, though.
Yes. Ooh, good. Anything else for visuals?
I think one thing I did appreciate a lot about Assassin's Creed Valhalla is, and it's such a petty thing, but I'm a sucker for accuracy.
Yes.
If you're gonna make a Viking game, please make your characters look like they are Scandinavian.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think Assassin's Creed Valhalla did that very well. Like, my family heritage is Eastern European. We come from Lithuania, which, yes, it's obviously not Scandinavian, but it's close.
It's close enough.
And so you got the light eyes, you got the ash blonde hair, you got the dark brown, the light brown hair, you got the pale-ish kind of skin, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, you can clearly see you're from that region. Like, I hopped on a plane and someone asked me if I was from Scandinavia just based on my visual appearances. And
Is that because you had a shield and a hatchet when you were getting on the plane or something?
and I was walking around with Mjolnir, bro.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
of course,
What,
of course.
What a dumb
But
question.
yeah, so when I see visuals in a game and it looks like it's keeping true to the almost ethnicity framework of the game, it's something to appreciate, because it doesn't feel like it's trying to be something it's not, but kind of leveraging different cultures and experiences and ethnicities to just make a product. But they're actually giving you a fully thought out experience, which I liked a lot about AC Valhalla, because I feel like it kept true to that.
I would agree with you,
go on.
but I just don't think that these characters sounded
No.
in any sense convincing me at all that they were Scandinavian. The
That
accents
said,
were
you
all over the place.
played as the woman, right, Nick?
Yes, Eivor, Lady Eivor.
Which a lot of people complained about her accent and her voice acting and everything. Like
Really?
that. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it was too musky. Like she smoked 20 cigarettes a day. They said no. They said
Really
all
is the case. Why does that keep happening? Why
No,
does that keep...
everybody
Who thinks
didn't
this
like
is
that.
cool? Who
Yeah.
This is Geralt of Rivia all over again. I hate it.
Although when you say that, the male voice actor for
Yeah.
Eivor, he like in all due respect, like I presume the female voice actor also got as equal recognition in some regard.
I hope so.
But the male voice actor for Eivor, I only know of him. I don't know of her. I
That's
still to
true.
this day I don't
Yeah,
know who it is.
same.
Like when I heard the voice of Eivor in the game, I was like, oh, this is cool. And then when I saw YouTube videos of the actual actor, the human being that voices Eivor, I was like, oh, that he actually talks like that every day. He didn't even put it on for the game. That's just him talking. And it
that's
was
cool.
cool to see that he's actually Danish. Oh, okay, so he has a little bit of like,
Yeah.
not that Denmark's necessarily like Scandinavia, but there's heritage and
Oh
lineage
yeah, there
in
is.
that.
Yeah, that's right. They
Yeah.
got
So
the
it's
history.
like, oh, okay, cool. Like they sourced the right people for it. But when it came to the female Eivor, I don't know, debatable.
I don't even think it was just the female Eivor. I think it was most voice actors in this game. I'm sure the voice actors are good actors, but these accents they're just all over the place. And not just that,
Yeah.
but I wasn't convinced at all. The Sigurd's wife, Randvi,
yeah.
she had an American accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, she used to slip.
full
That's
on.
true. She slipped when she talked. Yeah, I picked that up. But I have to disagree with you a little bit, Nick, because I thought
Yeah.
like Sigurd, the
Sigurd.
voice actor for him,
Yeah, that was
I
good.
thought I'll give you that his accent may have been not on, but I thought
No,
the
no,
voice
no.
acting
His
was
was my favorite. I liked
His was
his
great.
out of everyone's.
his had that
Do you guys
combination.
remember-
Go on, sorry.
Yeah, carry on.
I just love Sigurd because when you first met him, he had even his audio. He was just confident. He was brash. He was the cool dude. And then later on,
Yeah.
you can hear him starting to get too confident, and he was starting to get a bit loopy and a bit up himself, and you could literally hear that in the voice actor's way of delivering the lines and stuff. I thought his voice acting
That's good.
was great. It was
Yes.
fantastic. You know, you
Do you remember
Go on.
the and I don't know her name. I can't remember, but the lady who gives you the magic mushrooms to visit Asgard.
The one in the hut, yeah. I
Valka.
remember the hut
Yeah.
lady, yeah.
I can't remember her name. I feel like her
It's
her
Valka.
voice acting was very good.
Yeah, no, sorry, Nick remembers all his names. What was the name, Nick? Sorry?
Valka.
There you go.
Valka!
There you go. So,
I knew it was Valka, hey?
Of course.
do you know the funny thing is Nick probably didn't get to that part in the game. He just learnt all the names. Did you get to that bit or not?
Hey,
Of course,
All
yes,
I
I
know-
did get to that bit.
Oh, okay.
I
you
did.
get to
I
that
know
bit.
her name.
Okay.
all
forgive
I
me.
know is that Nick either experienced his homework or just read his homework. But either way, the homework's done.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. No, I get it. The sounds, the voice acting, because there was so much. And there's one thing.
I think that is it. Yes, I think
That-
that
that-
is it.
It's hard to do that all spot on when you've got comedy bits, you've got the Asgardians, you've got in theory different places in England, and no, they didn't do the area accents well enough. But when you've got England back then was a mixture of
Yeah.
people. It was a complete mix. Granted, no Americans. That is a bit odd. But you were, like you said, most of Europe fundamentally was interweaved into the England culture back then. So you could actually forgive a bit of an accent slip here and there. But yeah, it's voice acting. I thought Sigurd was the best. I just thought he brought across so much in just that his scenes. I look forward to them every single time.
Same.
Yeah, 100%.
It goes to show you could very clearly hear that Basim was definitely not
That's
from
true.
around there.
That's very true. That's true. And I like that.
And then him and I can't remember the dude, but the guy who eventually joins your Ravensthorpe.
Yeah, the apprentice young guy, right?
Hytham.
Yeah. And Hytham. You see, this one Nick knows everybody.
I know, right? He knows everyone.
And his accent as well. Like I can almost still hear it in my head where he's like, "Oh, do you have anything for me today?"
There we go.
It wasn't Scandinavian. It was definitely Middle Eastern. Although I feel like that is the worst Middle Eastern impression. But whatever, forgive me.
It really is. But besides the voice acting, though, I still scored audio very high because of this spectacular soundtrack.
Yeah.
There really is no word to describe it. The soundtrack of this game. I put on my headphones to listen to the soundtrack while I was working the other day. I couldn't put it off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a satisfying one.
It really is. It really... That intro song, when the menu is loading, you press start and it loads for half an hour to check if you've got any DLC.
That's true, yeah.
And you almost want to just like leave it. Like, that's fine. No, I didn't put on the game to play it. I just want to listen to something while I work.
Okay, this is something I admit because I like I said, I have old man moments. I literally loaded the game and I was on the main screen for a really long time thinking, where's the continue? And it was the Ubisoft login bit, which said press triangle to close. And I was sat there for ages thinking, why can't I log, like... Because Ubisoft, is it Ubisoft who's been deleting people's accounts if they're inactive recently on the news?
There was a rumor about that.
Right? Yeah. And I genuinely thought they deleted my account.
They deleted your account.
I was like, what?
Oh no!
And it took me like 10-15 minutes of an old man moment to realise that's not even the main screen yet. But anyway, sorry, Nick, continue.
So crazy.
No, I'm sorry. I'm glad they didn't though.
That's true.
Imagine they did. That would have been a very different type of podcast.
Oh, yeah. The first 30 minutes of this podcast with me just complaining about Ubisoft if they did that. But anyway, the soundtrack-wise, I remember, like I said, Nick, he's audio man. He's got all the credentials in that regard. But I do remember the soundtracks during the battles. The soundtrack combined with the war horn that you play. I remember that was on the levels of like Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings. See, that was
man.
Just
actually, now that you compare it that way, it gives it that very immersive, like it's going down.
Yeah,
type.
Right. It really did. Had some
100%.
epic, tense, gaming moments just brought up by the tempo and the sound engineering of the soundtrack. Yeah, no doubt.
Because
it was epic.
Of the scale of this game, Ubisoft, they've got a load of people working on one game at a time. So they've perfected making a process or a formula to make a product at the end. One of the parts of this entire process, just being cogs in a big machine, is the music. And that's very difficult to make something unique that sounds good by just following a formula. Because this game had 3 composers. 3.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to butcher their name. It's Jesper Kidd. I wrote this down. Don't be impressed. It's Sarah Schachner or something, and Einar Selvik. Scandinavian people, or just Northern European, it sounds like. But for 3 people to make a single soundtrack and make it sound like aligned on having the same atmosphere, that's an immense achievement. That is good.
I can imagine that. That's very difficult to have the same vision and stuff like that to your sound.
Yes.
And, I didn't know 3. I've never heard of 3 working on one before. That's a bit crazy.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea that they sound what's the right term? From the right region to make the music. That's very cool. I always like it when they don't just put a name everybody
Same.
knows on the soundtrack just because it's
Same.
got
Yeah, exactly.
prestige and
Like
stuff.
Hans Zimmer
Yeah.
composed Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, exactly right.
Valhalla.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
Just for the Hans Zimmerness. That's right.
Imagine that game would have exploded. Anyway, yeah, for me, a soundtrack really solidifies the memorability of a game.
Yes.
Like you can have a great game and a pretty average soundtrack, which is fine, and no one will know any different. They'll just be like, oh, okay, that's nice, and it'll be a great game, and people will go like, oh, I remember this game and we played, and that's awesome. But have a game with a really, really strong, solid soundtrack.
Yes.
It'll be one of those where you'll
Yes.
immediately be thrown back into the
Yes.
scene, thrown back into how you felt, what what was said, and you're like I can still in my head sit and like as soon as I say it, Nick, immediately you're gonna hear it. That scene where in Lord of the Rings it's that dun dun dun, like in Isengard, or they're running through the forest, and it's that. Like you can hear it already, and
I do.
It, like you can picture the scene, and like that's really, really
yes.
good
Editor.
composition.
Editor, put that
100%.
in, but don't put that in because we're going to be copyright struck.
That's very
Oh
true.
yeah, true.
But yeah, no,
Yes,
I think
I
we
know
all know
exactly
the part
what
you're
you're
talking about. You know, even
Yes.
I know that part.
Boom,
And
boom, boom, boom.
boom. You know,
Exactly.
So good, so good.
Exactly.
we're gonna
I'm
segue
just-
into just how good Lord of the Rings is now.
I'm
like-
trying my best not
Best
to.
not to. Yeah, okay. Anything else audio-wise?
Sound-
Yes.
Hey, it sounds like another podcast
Yeah,
on the
that's it.
horizon.
That's right.
Man! One last thing in audio. This is going to sound weird, but I have a favorite sound from this game. That sounds weird to say it like that, but whenever you finish raiding a monastery, how dare you, that sucks, and you open a chest or whatever, you would
hear it.
the victory sound would be just your mates in the distance going ooh ooh ooh,
Yeah,
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I
and they
remember
make it
100%.
sound so good.
it makes it feel like we
did it.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it
We
in words,
killed
but it
these
feels
Brits.
like you did this with an army, which
Yes.
is
Yeah,
quite
that's
sick.
right. Like the brotherhood part of it. No, that's exactly what you mean.
It's amazing how audio can just make everything. It can change everything.
Yeah,
No, 100%. Okay, should we
We
jump
should have
into?
100%. We should have 100% count in.
I know, right? I know. That's one thing I get really like anxious about because I think to myself, how many times did I say 100%?
Oh,
It's like-
story of my life.
Yeah, right. It's really weird. Anyway, should we jump into gameplay? Because
Yeah.
Do we
There's
have
one-
to?
we have to. I know, Nick.
Okay.
I know. There's one which can only be decided as like god tier gameplay mechanic in this game, and it's
Okay.
that you get to pet the dogs and cats.
You do?
Actually,
Yes.
Yes!
yeah.
That's right. You know, there's a lot you can
10
complain
out of
about.
10, baby!
When a cat jumps into your arms and you get to just stroke it and then put it, already genius. I'm down already.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, see,
It's
that's
those
why
small little nuances
Yeah,
that pull on
exactly.
the heartstrings of
it's
pet lovers.
Very cool. Is that where the positives end, though?
Oh no, there was loads. Didn't you love the poetry rap battles?
Oh, they were
what
called
were they
something. I
called?
can't remember what they were called, though.
And it was like not a double negative, but you had to match the positive or negative in
Yeah,
the
that's
same
right.
rhyme.
Yeah,
Oh, man,
exactly.
what was
I-
it called? Flighting.
There you
Flighting.
go. There you go. That's it. Flighting.
Yes,
that's
yes,
right.
yes.
I
Flighting
loved
was
those.
dope.
I loved that.
Yeah.
I was going to town after town just finding those because I don't know.
Exactly.
I'm weird and I like a bit of flighting. It would seem. See, another great
What
mechanic,
was-
Nick.
Yeah, it seems
What was
so.
that? What was that game? It was like not. It was kind of like dice in the game.
Dice.
Yeah, there was
Dice-
a game, wasn't
Dice
there?
or cards, and you had like different abilities, and you had to like one up the other
that's
player.
right. No, I do remember that game.
I can't remember the name, but that I would literally just log in just to play that.
Yeah, that was like
Sometimes,
that's like the
days.
Witcher's Gwent, right? I remember
Yes,
Valhalla had that.
100%.
Yeah, you used to get those little pieces and like different.
Absolutely. Like
Yeah,
it
that
did
was cool.
absolutely nothing for your
No,
overall gameplay.
exactly right.
It was just something so cool to just pass by the time.
That's right,
You
no, I
just
remember
wanted to
that
do
game.
something different.
I feel bad because I didn't pet any cats or dogs or flight or played this dice game.
What?
But you went to Asgard.
No, I didn't even go to Asgard.
She just knows the person who sends you there.
That's epic, though. I love it.
I
Okay,
feel
go on, Nick.
cheated.
You should.
Yeah.
Go
I know what
log
you're
in
doing this
now.
weekend.
Yeah, about to say, there's cats everywhere, dogs
We need-
everywhere.
We need to end this podcast early because I want to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah, that's it. We just cut it dead now. He's gone. Okay,
He's gone.
okay, Nick,
But
go on.
I
It sounds
think-
like you've got something wrong or mean to say about the gameplay.
It's just because I think the base gameplay for this game, right? The gameplay you're gonna be doing for 70% of this game isn't that good. Shun me now. I'm sorry. I just
Elaborate.
don't think.
Go on. You just can't leave that statement and just say, go on.
So
elaborate.
70% of the gameplay is. Would you use the words again? What did you say?
Well, the combat.
Yes.
Let's take the combat.
Okay, the combat.
The combat and
Okay,
the
combat.
stealth.
The stealth, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I agree there.
I
can't
think
argue that.
I don't think Valhalla should have had an emphasis on a stealth approach or
Me
mechanic.
neither.
I think
Yeah.
if I'm a Viking, dude, I'm running headfirst into
Exactly.
this door. I'm gonna throw an axe at your face. Like, it is what it is.
And if
just
you didn't
accept it.
put
Like,
all your points into stealth, sometimes your stealth attacks just hurt them. You know, what's the point in
Exactly.
being stealthy and you just hurt them and then fight anyway? It seemed to be like relatively
Exactly.
pointless.
Or just because they were a higher level,
Yeah.
you do less damage, which makes sense
Yeah.
in an RPG, but not in an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah,
I
this
don't
is
get
the-
it.
yeah.
This is the argument of
If
them
they had-
going away from the Assassin's Creed bit again.
Yes.
Go on, Canton.
Exactly. If they had taken the framework and maybe the outline of Valhalla, but just when it comes to combat, throw in a bit of like Brotherhood or Revelations, where you know it's a bit of hit and miss, but quick time reactions, like as they're
Yeah,
about to
yeah.
hit
I
you,
like
you have like
those.
a
That's right.
counter attack, like those, and then it's okay. Might be different opinions on this, but when you do those counter attacks, there's
Yeah.
like those mini super short animations to like how brutal your
Yes.
counter attack was, and I was like, whoa,
I
that's
still
intense, dude.
remember to this day Assassin's Creed 1, where if you had a dagger, he would dodge and then stab the guy in the foot with the dagger.
Yeah.
I would still remember to that because it was so cool being a kid where you
Yes,
just dodged
you
that way,
just
stabbed in the
counter
foot.
everyone.
Yeah,
I
that was
just-
the greatest.
Which I'm hoping the new Assassin's Creed goes back to, because
Yeah, that
that's
would be-
actually very satisfying in combat.
And it would make sense, right?
So-
It going
Exactly.
backwards to go forwards, it would make sense that that gameplay kind of came back a bit more. If you,
Yeah.
if you know
It
what I
So
mean.
in
does.
context to what Nick was saying, yeah, I kind of agree with it, because yeah, it wasn't wow. It was cool, but it wasn't wow.
We don't need to agree. I just think that when it comes to an assassin, if we think about an assassin, especially in the earlier games as well, you're just there to murder the head honcho. And then,
That's
and
true,
then,
that's right.
and then GTFO. You're just an assassin. You can't take on an army, although in this game you can, which
take on many.
trivializes the assassin part entirely. It's contradictory, and that stood out
Yeah.
for me a bit more than for you
It
guys. It
should.
seems.
Have you played Odyssey and Origin?
I've not. This is the first Assassin's Creed of this new batch. I've
that's
played.
when the gameplay change happened in
Yes,
Origins.
yes, I
in
know.
regards-
I
yeah.
also seem to remember, I think it was even before Origins, there was a snapshot that leaked, or a screenshot somebody took of one of the older games, of three icons next to each other, one a pyramid, another being a Trojan helmet,
Yeah.
Oh,
which
yeah.
would then be Origins
Of
and
course,
Odyssey.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
the third picture was one of those big Japanese gates, those red gates.
Yeah, I know what they're called.
Okay.
Right?
But
and
yes, I
I
know what you
kept,
mean, yeah.
I kept getting excited for that Assassin's Creed, thinking, okay, when after Odyssey we'll get the Japanese one, and
That's
then
true,
we
there
got
were
Valhalla,
rumors.
and
That's true, there were rumors.
I'm not gonna say felt cheated because it's not like they need to make a game for me.
But I would argue, Nick, that you
Yes,
probably didn't play enough of the game for the gameplay to flesh out more.
could be very true as well.
Because, you know,
Could
throwing an
definitely be
axe
true.
at someone, unlocking the throwing an axe at someone move, that's just
Yeah.
plain fun every single time. I'll get that you're right, that at one point, I'm sure Canton must have killed thousands upon thousands of Brits and Danes and stuff in the game. If I just think how many I've killed.
Guilty.
Yeah, I'm about to say. It does get a bit meaningless, especially when you get so powerful. You're just kicking everyone's ass.
You really just do feel like a superhero.
But that's also cool.
You're just plowed. Yes, but this is Assassin's Creed.
But like, okay. There's an accessibility to the games that they've got to take into account too, because we got the Dark Souls games, you got everything that was coming out which needed nitty gritty melee type combat. Now, I can understand the argument that if it was all just blending in and stabbing people, you're not going to get the newer generation of game player potentially. So I can understand mixing that up so you feel like. You're basically trying to feel like Thor, like you're badass. You can kill everyone.
I see.
But trying to make it grounded. Granted, they may have not pulled that off that well. But I think the combat a lot of the time was actually quite a lot of fun.
I get it. So you're saying this was to try and attract a newer audience who might not have been that attracted to stealthy, stabby gameplay.
Yeah, you've got to. Sadly, in the business world, you've got to do that, because if you just aimed the games at like us, in regards that we played the younger ones and now we're adults or younger adults, I think mathematically that's a big market share, but I'm not entirely sure if it's as big as the young adults or the adolescents market. I may be wrong, but yeah, I think I didn't mind the combat. I thought the combat was quite a lot of fun.
Yeah, the combat
How do you feel about
the
combat?
It felt almost a little hack and slash ish kind of, if that's even a term I can use.
Totally.
But yeah, I felt like it did need something more, but it was quite nice to just sit and know this is going to go in exactly the same direction. And there's absolutely no thought required from my side.
Is that not?
So,
I mean, I can get when you want to just turn off your brain that's the type of game you want to play. I don't know. I just don't think that's the type of combat I would like.
Yeah.
Really. If I think about God of War Ragnarok, there are a ton of different moves and different weapons you can switch to try and spice up the combat. Where I just don't think you can do that closely, anywhere nearly as cool in Valhalla.
Not as cool as Ragnarok, I'll give you, but there were of course different weapon styles: spears, axes, swords,
that I liked,
dual-handed heavy broadswords and stuff later on if you unlocked it. The only thing I will say that I think this was insane for me was the skill tree. It was one of the most boring skill trees that you could come across. It was so boring. I eventually
was just selecting things to acquire for the sake of selecting it.
And they did that weird thing where they did this the skill tree with Fog of War, so you couldn't even build a build towards what you wanted to do. You had to randomly find a path and go, oh yeah, that's what I wanted. Or if you went the wrong way, you were stuck down a path that you may or may not want to do. Oh, the skill tree is boring. You unlocked skill points, and I at one point had like 12 that I just couldn't be bothered to put into anything. Because it was like plus 2% to melee, or then plus 6% chance of critical. It was such a boring little skill tree. It was so...
You know what? I think Ubisoft, they know it's boring, and they know no one... 90% of people are not going to delve into this because of the inclusion of an auto-assign button.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I must admit...
That's actually very true.
I've gone
you can
down
just
that
press
road
auto assign and
that's
the
right.
game would put it in itself, so you wouldn't have to waste your
worry
time.
about it.
Not and waste your time. You're right. Not worry about it. I'm being mean to this game.
Don't waste your time.
But that's
the honesty for me. I love
that's
it.
one of the things about this game, which we went on a narrative a little bit. Is this game too big? Is there too much in this game? Because there's even the raids, like where you can go down the rivers and raid different places for different equipment. There's you could hire mercenary. What were they called? I know.
I
Began with J, didn't it? I can't remember what they're called. there's that side. There's building your village. There's playing all the side games. There's going to Asgard to flesh out that story. There's the main story. There's
a lot.
There was a lot.
And if you're a completionist, you'll probably I spent 26 hours in the game, but it was a little big. A little too big, but maybe a little big.
I think I would argue it was too big. They added a ton of things in this game, but I could definitely feel like there was, I would say, corners cut to accommodate this huge game, right? It does feel a mile wide and an inch deep in a lot of parts.
I like that,
you could, I get it. Yeah, it is. In my opinion, I would say it's too long. It's like, I don't know if anyone's played the DLC, the Ragnarok one as well, which isn't very good. I would very much give it a miss. It doesn't really add anything. It really doesn't. You'd thought it'd be really cool because it's Ragnarok and the end of Asgard and all the other things. Really boring. Like, it does very little. It's fundamentally better than horse armor from Skyrim, in my opinion.
Oh, no.
But only just. But anyway, anything else gameplay-wise, gents?
I think you mentioned it now, where it felt a little too long, too big and everything. And with that in mind, I think Ubisoft have picked that up. And they've even emphasized, especially in the recent Ubisoft Forward, where they speak about Assassin's Creed Mirage being very much downscaled. They're streamlining that.
That's
and
cool.
I think this is what's going to make Assassin's Creed Mirage so epic, is because they've taken all the feedback over the years, over the everything, and gone, okay, we're kind of listening now, so let's maybe give the people that are actually playing the game what they want.
Yes.
I think that could be quite cool.
Yes. That really does sound like the best news, but it could also just be marketing.
Yeah.
Well, I really hope it isn't.
Let's just there's a half glass full type moment. Let's hope they're actually listening to gamers.
I do hope so. Because that means we're gonna go back to what we had with Assassin's Creed 1 and 2, and that was just that's the good stuff. If I can just get my full meal in 16 hours, I'm happy.
Yeah, I must admit
I dig that.
Two long games are a bit. Granted, it's because we're fundamentally adults to some degree. We've got full-time jobs and stuff like
that. Jobs and kids.
Oh, man.
Goodness.
It's hard to get like 60, 80 hours of like a storyline. That's a big
investment.
Thank you, investment. It really is nowadays.
Exactly.
I wish I was a teenager.
Time is the most valuable asset as an adult.
Yeah,
100%. Go off. It really is.
I envy all those kids out there that finish school at 2, 3 o'clock and then have that gap before dinner where you just play or before bed. I wish I was.
I was that kid, and I'm like, I just want to go back there.
Yeah, that's right. 100%.
Give me a uniform, give me a teacher that's just gonna shout at me every day. I couldn't care less. Just give me more time for me.
I agree entirely.
But yeah, I think we're gonna move on to performance.
Did any? Go on. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, I was just gonna say performance. I don't know. I don't think I have too much to say about it. I gave it a. I think I remember I said an 8 or a 9. I think it was.
You gave an 8.
Yeah.
An 8. I think the only thing, and it's good old faithful developing issues where you try to run and there's like a jitter, or you're running and you can see there's like a little bit of a glitch in the grass, or like the game still runs perfect. Is it going to affect your overall experience? No, but if you're very critical in the way you're looking at the overall holistic view of everything, you're probably going to go, oh yeah, that shouldn't be like that. So I think that's the only thing on my side, but it's all good though.
I had 2 things, and I'm sure Nick's probably got one of them, the loading screens.
Yes. Don't get me started. But
I knew that's going to be one of the ones
the loading screens.
Yeah. Nick hates them, any loading screen, albeit if you die,
I paid 12,000 rand to get rid of them.
Yes, that's somewhat true. It's somewhat true.
Good point. Good point.
I had this fantastical one when I was doing a raid. You know how you were talking about opening the chests, and you know it had that animation where it says, "Come here, help me with this."
Oh right, because it needs to be forced open by somebody, right?
I had one bit where no one came to help me. It was very sad. Just continuously,
Oh, wow.
come here, help. Dum, dum, and just come here, help. I was like, why? Like, do I smell? Why is no one helping me? I literally got up and made a coffee.
I had that same thought while I was playing this game. I also had to force open a chest, and for a second nobody came, but then I turned around the camera and somebody did come, and then I thought, wow, what if just no one came to help me?
It really didn't. No one came to help me in the slightest. And it's funny, on the raids you can start seeing when you go on the raids, you can see your other men as they fight and if they're getting injured and stuff. And I just saw my men slowly die as I was there trying to say, come here, help me. And it just, my men were slowly dying. And I was like, wow, this is a really sad ending to my battle.
Oh, no.
But hey, that was the only performance-wise. It's a glitch. Games have glitches and mini bugs, and it's you make a game of this scale, it is very hard to polish every corner and every stone.
It is. I think because it's so big, it's difficult to optimize every inch. And I think the issue isn't that you need to optimize every inch. I think the issue is at that point your game is too big.
Yeah.
Just cut it down. Make it smaller. It seems like they learned that lesson with Mirage. I really hope so. Yeah. But it does feel like this game isn't as tight or as optimized as what it could have been if you would just if the game was just set in a couple of regions of England and not the entirety.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it possibly, if I remember Odyssey and Origin well enough, I think this one was potentially the most troublesome in regards to bugs for me, for my gameplay part. Because Odyssey ran fine, Origin, I can't remember anything. Only Valhalla really had, but it is, like I said, a lot bigger. You're right by saying it's actually.
Yeah, there's a whole lot more to compensate for, or not compensate for, but a whole 100%. Lot more to deliver. And I think all that mixed into one pot. There's a few hiccups that can pop up.
There has to be. There can't not be. It's gonna happen. But then, come on, but then they played some of that sweet music, and you just can't be mad when you're listening to that music.
It's the music for Nick. As long as there's the good music, you can give me loading screens as much as you want.
That's right. He's a simple man to please.
But value for money. Here we go. Value for money.
Well, I know what Nick's gonna say. Go on, Nick. You hate these.
Okay, the two of you scored this a 9.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
you both
in my mind, when you do value for money, you're compensating how much the game costs and how much you've got to do in it. And, if you were to take Canton's 120 hours and you paid $30, he's getting I don't know the maths, but 50 cents a dollar there or something like that. Yes. That's good value for money.
That's excellent value for money. I like that a lot. That's like if you enjoy the gameplay loop, you can just play it over and over and over again. That's why free to play games are doing so well.
That's true.
Yeah.
On the other end of the spectrum, I gave this game a score of 2, by the way.
Wow.
I know.
I just don't think that when you look at the entirety of the package, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and what you're paying, $60, that you're getting anything close to the entirety of that package.
Okay.
You mean in regards to DLC and...
To DLC.
And other things, right?
To
DLCs
items in the store, to helix points that could make you level up faster. I think...
I don't love microtransactions.
Just a disclaimer, Canton. Nick hates microtransactions.
It's so corporate.
Everything.
It's so corporate. I hate it.
Yeah,
it's just here's this excellent game, but we're gonna be injecting some ties and some overly complicated contracts into this thing. It sucks.
Absolutely.
This could be the longest segment if we're not careful. But go on, Canton. Sorry.
So I think value for money. I think, again, the reason why I gave it a 9 is because, in context, locking in 120 hours, platining this game, kind of having it as the go-to game during lockdown. Yes. There's a little bit more depth towards the game for me that makes me go, hey, if I had to tell someone to buy a game, because I've literally not only finished the game, I've completed the game, and there was a little bit of a social dynamic to it with my wife, and the exploration that I did and the small little nuances in between. It's like, oh hey, you'll probably enjoy this game. But again, that's not going to be for everyone.
You've got that lovely bias, and I don't mean this in a bad way. You've got that lovely memory with your wife.
Yeah.
And
that
with
really
lockdown being what it was, I know exactly what you mean. That time where you've just randomly got like a plentiful amount of time now.
Yeah, because what else are you going to do?
And you're just at home all the time.
Yeah, and you got to just sit there with your wife, play the game. It's almost an achievement. I know it seems weird to say that about gaming and platinum.
Yeah,
but I can remember.
The best PlayStation trophy is from my wife.
yeah, exactly right. See, we did this together.
We're not going to get into what that trophy is, but anyway.
But I love that story of it, and that's what there's that. I love those sides, and I love those stories. Lots of gamers do have them. I love that side of things. That's my favorite part about your whole love of the Valhalla, is that you got to sit down with your wife. You got to do it together. You got to get confused together. You got to do, that is very cool.
I dig that.
You have the awkward moments when you get to have sex with someone and you look for your wife's approval. That's all good memories.
Man, I did not say that.
I'm putting words in your mouth now. Okay.
I do think the special moments that people have with games is so great, and it's so special, and it's a wonderful memory. I'm of the opinion, though, that that's not because of the game.
Yeah, there were circumstances.
See, Nick should have been a mechanic, because he just throws spanners in those works.
He does, doesn't he? All the time, right?
He's like, he has a wrench. But that's a very valid point, though. It's very valid.
There are some exceptions, like Mario Kart. You would not have those experiences with any other game, really. There are some truly unique Mario Kart moments.
Yeah.
But if we think about it, getting a platinum trophy for any game, you could have had those memories with your wife.
Yeah, that's okay. That's valid. Yes,
that's true. Because at the end of the day, it's still a memory with your spouse, as opposed to the game did this. Yeah. Okay. In that context, yeah.
That's a good point. Sadly, I don't.
If I'm gonna be a bit of an asshole and I'm gonna look at this game objectively, yes, I'm gonna score this a 2 out of 10.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still shocked at the two. Like each their own.
If Nick was like, oh, I'm gonna give it a 6, I'll be like, oh, cool, hectic.
Yeah, same.
No, I'm gonna give it a 4. Yo, Nick, be nice. Nick's like, I'm gonna give it 2. I'm gonna give it 2.
It's like 2. It's 2. Nick, are you okay? Like, who need to talk? You gave this game a 2.
Hurt you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Like, let's sit you on the couch and really understand why you gave this a 2, because there's something else there.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, again, value for money. If you're looking at Assassin's Creed Valhalla at face value, it's your good old open world RPG, your RPG where run here, slash this, do this, talk to that person, fulfill this side quest, and repeat. And
Very
then
true.
Figure out what's happening along the story, and once you're done, that was nice, next game.
Yeah,
so
exactly right. Yeah, I agree entirely.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Mirage
Yeah.
a lot, although I
Same.
do think it's not going to be void of microtransactions, though.
No, that's good old faithful Ubisoft.
They make far
for
too
you.
much money. Sadly, they make far too much money off them. So it'd be weird if they didn't.
I have a question, though.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
I've got a question for you, Canton. Besides the initial investment to get this game, to pre-order this game, have you ever bought anything else in its store? DLC, cosmetics, Helix points?
I wonder if I can't remember if I actually bought Helix credits. I think I did, not for any other reason. There was one cosmetic item that I was like, man, this looks. Actually, no, I didn't. Actually,
No?
You remember, like,
I did. Sorry, I'm
defying the temptation. You were like, yeah.
I think what happened was when I did in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I didn't. However, I did in Assassin's Creed Unity, because I'll never forget. I bought Helix credits, and Ubisoft at the time were having a server failure. So I bought Helix credits, and they only reflected onto my profile 2 weeks after I bought them.
Whoa.
So I'll never
2
forget
weeks?
that. Yeah, imagine buying something and you're like, where's my stuff?
That
And
would
then
be
you
annoying.
contact
You know that.
Ubisoft and they're like, oh, we're having a problem at the moment. And then like you forget about it, and then 2 weeks later you're like, oh, where did all of these Helix
Whoa.
credits come from?
So have you still
yeah.
got unspent Helix credits on your account?
For Unity?
Yeah. Or did you
No.
actually buy
I think I
cosmetic?
bought whatever. I got so over
Nice.
it. I was like, I'll just buy whatever.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, okay,
Exactly,
I
but
imagine
for
it's the same.
Valhalla, I only I didn't actually pay for Helix credits. You like I
Okay,
think
yeah.
you unlock 100 year or 200 year, and I just
Yeah,
got like
that's
a
right, you do.
sword or a whatever.
Yeah, same,
but very
same.
tempted, very tempted to purchase the wolf as my mount, but I didn't. So
Well done.
See,
It is
they
hard.
get
The
you.
Well
temptation
done.
They get,
can be
they
hard,
get you
yeah.
with that.
You're
It's
exactly
like,
right.
ooh,
They really do.
who the hell wants to ride a horse when you can ride a wolf? And it's like, I will spend 1,000 rand. But no.
Shit. No,
Whoa.
I'm good.
But a lot of people don't have that self-discipline to not.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think I've ever bought anything. Just because I'm a grumpy old man and I don't like
You've never bought anything, Dave.
anything. No, everyone
Not
buys
even
it
a
for me.
cup
I'm
of
so
soup?
popular.
Do
No,
you
I'm
just
so popular.
steal
I don't-
things?
Yes, I'm very much like
Stealer.
Thief. Can you remember the game Thief? Granted, I'm getting
Oh,
older.
Yes,
Thief is
thief,
actually
of
good.
course.
Yeah, okay. That's me in entirety. No, I've never. Only because I'm grumpy and the horse armor thing from Skyrim that will
Yes.
always sit stuck in my head because that was like $30 when it first came out, which was insane.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
I think you're
I'll
also
do
just
what you.
wise, because why would you pay for something that's, and again, I love gaming, I'm a gamer at heart, but microtransactions in and of themselves in their entirety is instant gratification to something that is so temporary, because once the game's done, it's done.
No, I agree. It's really weird.
That's it.
It's not like you can look at it and put it on your desk or anything.
No.
It's just the data in your game file saved.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I find that weird myself.
Yeah.
Is that is that all we've got? Or are we spent? That's
Yeah, I think
Creed
so.
Valhalla.
I think if anyone's listening to this and you're friends with Nick, you're not going to go over to his house and have the opportunity to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla because you're wasting your money. But
Yeah,
myself
true.
and Dave,
Yes.
however, if you
Yeah, no,
want
no.
to come over, we will oblige.
Yeah.
Go over to their place.
There's no twos in this in this
Yeah.
PlayStation room. You know, we're two free. We're far happier than Nick. Sorry,
Which
that makes me
is-
sound really mean. Sorry, Nick is a happy guy. He
That
just doesn't like Valhalla for
hurts
some reason.
my feelings, Dave.
I'm sorry.
Nick, do you need me
That's true.
to call the ambulance to come fetch you after those bullet shots?
No, I'm fine.
Just buy some
but yeah.
DLC armor. Anyway, sorry.
That was
Go on.
good. That was good. That's another 10 points to Gryffindor.
There we go.
I'm gonna immediately say that was Assassin's Creed Valhalla from Ubisoft in 2020. It's been 3 years since the last Assassin's Creed game. Usually we would only have to wait 3 months before the newest one, for the next one.
That's true. Yeah,
How times have
pumped
changed.
them out. That's true.
That's true. Sometimes even it was mainly like also just a year.
Yeah,
Yes.
Like
I
the
wouldn't-
next
yes,
year,
yes.
it's like, oh, it's the next
For-
game. Cool.
A very long time they did
Yeah,
that.
3 years. Wow. Actually, that's crazy. When you say it like that, you're like, whoa, actually, 3 years?
Right?
But
Wow.
I prefer
Right?
that. I prefer a longer gap making a good game than a
Yeah.
short gap making a clone
Same.
or using the same
Cough,
assets.
cough,
or
CD
something like-
Projekt Red. Although
Yeah,
there's nothing
exactly right,
before it,
exactly
but
right.
don't rush a game.
Yeah.
The points we scored for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we sent to England to go raid and to go pillage some Englishmen who really didn't do much wrong.
Yeah.
Our scores were just horrible Viking Norsemen who claimed some land who didn't belong to them.
Yeah.
But that's
sorry.
history in a
It really
in
is.
general
It really
right
is.
there. But yeah, go on.
So our scores immediately settled into Ravensthorpe and matured into the letter grade rating of B. Not B
Nice.
minus, not B plus, just B.
Nice.
That's not too bad. That's it.
Not too bad. That's a great score. Anything above C plus is
Yeah.
a great game.
And it would have been an A if it hadn't been for those pesky kids. So
No, it would
I
have been
can't-
an A if this game. We're not going to go into it.
Okay, that's true. Then we could start all over again. No, B's a good score. B's a good
It
score.
is a good
Yeah.
score.
It's a
It's on
fair
the same
score.
with It Takes Two and I think it's our only ever second B.
Really?
Am I right? It Takes Two, and yeah, this we got
It
some
is.
B
It
minuses
Takes
and B
Two, and
pluses, but yeah, this is the first B.
That's great news. I'm glad because
Nice.
B is a great game. Usually how our rating system works is C minus ish. That's an average game. So anything C plus and above is good.
Nice.
No doubt, yeah. Pick it up. Don't listen to Nick. If you do like Vikings, if you like the series Vikings,
Yeah, please
then if you
listen to Nick because
No,
his
don't
opinions
listen.
are valid.
No, he gave a 2. How like a 2? That's come on. But yeah, if you like the Viking thing, if you like Canton, you love the Norse backgrounds, the Scandinavian-esque, the just killing thousands and thousands of Englishmen and Danish.
Because
people
why
and all
not?
that. Yeah, because who doesn't want to? Then this is the game for you. There was a lot in there that you would enjoy. It is quite a good time.
100%. Thank you.
Who's counting 100%?
We need
scale?
that 100% count.
I'm
100%.
guessing at least 8 now. At least 8 or 9.
8? No, I think we're close to 80.
That's probably true.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway.
Thank you for
Nice.
listening to this week's episode of the Critical Arcade Podcast. If you'd be so kind to leave us a review on any platform that you're listening this on, it would be very, very mighty fan of you.
Do
Canton,
the things.
please,
Yeah.
if you've got any plugs, now's the time.
Any plugs?
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, and I like to talk about games and play them when I have the time.
So,
which is not all that often.
he says this like he's got like 10 followers. Like, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube. He's got loads of followers. He's big, he's don't. He's being very nice and kind, but he is on Instagram.
I'm
he
just
is on
a nice
YouTube.
guy.
He's out there. You cannot miss him. Yeah, by all means, follow him by all accounts.
By all means, follow Critical Arcade, because if this is what they're
definitely.
doing now, just stick around for a little bit longer, and you just might find your next best favorite podcast.
Oh, damn straight.
100%.
Oh, God.
I'll say it again.
100% count. We
100%.
need it. I like it.
Thanks.
I like it.
Thanks, Canton. To everyone listening, you could follow us on all our social media channels. We're just starting out on Threads. You can follow us there, and also on Instagram, where we've got, I don't want to brag, but we might be at 100 followers right now.
I know, Canton, be careful. We're
Tequila
after
shots
you,
for everyone.
Yeah.
I'd say, we're on your heels here.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. We're all in this together, and we're
No,
better
exactly
together.
right. Exactly right.
You could catch us on email. I'm Nick at criticalarcade.com.
And I'm Dave at criticalarcade.com.
Besides for your email, Dave, where else can we follow you?
Well, you can find me out and about. I am on occasionally. I go out the house once a month, once every fortnight, potentially. But if you do find me, I'm afraid I do carry the English weather with me. So if you do come anywhere near me, I will take you to the vistas of the White Cliffs of Dover, and you will be set on upon by the storms, the cold, and my delightful English accent. For hours on hours.
That sounds like a Game of Thrones intro.
Yeah, like that is. Yeah, think Game of Thrones. That's the type of environment that you will be.
By King Dave.
That's right. I do decree you will now be miserable.
Like it.
Ooh,
That's what
some good
happens
stuff.
if you follow me out there.
Don't follow Dave. You would rather be better off supporting us on Patreon for exclusive content, where we record a post show afterwards, only available to our patrons, and a brand new show called the Critical Cinema, where we take this exact format and we review movies instead of games, because I've not seen a single thing.
I promise you, it's not just Lord of the Rings. Like,
It could be.
promise.
It should be.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh my god! I'd be okay. We'll do a Lord of the Rings episode.
And we'll do a Star Wars, Dave.
Yeah, thank you. As long as it's the old ones, because I'm not even down for the new ones.
I don't think anyone is.
Yeah, exactly.
What have we got lined up for next week, Dave?
Next week, it's a game which I think I heard of and then went under the radar. It's an indie game called Journey to Savage Planet.
Journey to the Savage Planet.
I always do that.
Why do you do
Journey
that? I don't get
to
it.
very specifically, the Savage Planet. An indie game about being sold out to a company going to a planet and scanning and taking a look at a planet and what's happening there. I don't really know much more else. Do you know?
Looks very colorful, very fun. We'll see what it's about next week. I'm just glad we can have another entry in our Indy 500 series.
Yeah, true. It's a lot of fun, no doubt.
But yeah, thanks, Dave, and thank you, Canton, for joining us for this episode. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, guys. It was epic. Looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, next week, Monday. I'm joking.
Nice.
He's far too busy. He's a busy man.
I love it.
Canton.
I was going to say tomorrow, but I mean, whatever.
Okay, we got. But yeah, thank you very much for gracing us on the episode,
Definitely.
Canton. It means a lot to us. Thank you very much.
Nice, man.
And
thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Everyone else for listening to this week's episode of the Critical Arcade Podcast. We'll see you next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.